What is going on in Illinois? What is going on in Illinois? So we have the mayor of Chicago reportedly spending $30,000 on makeup. Brandon Johnson, like, what's going on, man? What is going on? Seriously.
We start here at 5 o'clock with questions about Mayor Brandon Johnson using campaign funds to pay for hair and makeup expenses for himself and other people tied to his campaign.
That haircut is worth $30,000? Put in the comments below if you think it's worth $30,000.
The Chicago Sun-Times first reported that Johnson has spent more than $30,000 in 15 months.
$30,000 in 15 months. Hold on a second. Hold on. I'm not that good at math. So that's $30,000 in 18 months? For what? I don't get it.
Election lawyers disagree if it's lawful. NBC5 political reporter Marianne Ahern joining us now with reaction. Marianne?
Allison, election law does not mention specifically hair and makeup. So depending on whom you ask, there is disagreement whether it's legal. He's not the first to use campaign funds this way, but in Johnson's case, he's using those dollars not just for himself, but others too. Last August, when we spoke to Mayor Brandon Johnson in a one-on-one interview, his makeup artist prepped him before we asked questions. Johnson is paying his makeup artist through his campaign donors. Johnson has expensed more than $32,000 from January of 2023 through the end of March of this year. Campaign records show the makeup artist was paid $28,000, the hair salon $4,000.
I need to be a makeup artist. Getting paid. That's a lot of money, right? I mean, let me know in the comments below. How much money do you spend in the last, 18 months or last year on your hair and makeup? What is he, Beyonce? He's a rap artist? I mean, I'm looking at him. I mean, I don't get it. Do you guys get it? I don't get it.
I would be hard-pressed to say grooming is part of your governmental functions.
Bert Alderson in the house?
That's not a function of government to look good.
Bert Alderson is an attorney who specializes in election law.
Tiffany Hayner is definitely familiar with Bert Alderson's interpretation of the law.
So does Michael Dorf.
The key is the law does not prohibit expenditures for grooming expenses, and it is absolutely clear that how you look is at least as important as what you say in any political situation.
I understand that, bro, but $30,000? Isn't that a bit unnecessary? What kind of makeup is he using? What kind of creams and lotions he's trying to moisturize with that you need to spend that much money? That seems to be a bit excessive.
One of the things about Proactive is it moisturizes my situation, it preserves my sexy, and then I'm off to doing what I need to do.
The Illinois State Board of Elections says, quote, if you're making an appearance as mayor of Chicago and you hire a makeup and hair artist for the event, that would most likely be a legitimate use. But if you're using them for a strictly social event, there might be a stronger grounds for a complaint. You also can't pay more than fair market value for goods and services.
And that's a big problem there. If he's using the best possible makeup artists that are accustomed to servicing celebrities, then they can basically say, well, that's the amount it costs. Even though as a public servant, he should feel uncomfortable spending that much money on makeup.
During former Mayor Lightfoot's term, she expensed $8,000 total for hair and makeup.
So she spent $8,000 the entire term, and this dude spent $30,000 in 18 months. Someone try to make sense of this.
To her campaign funds.
If I was to pick a side here, I'd pick a side of being on the conservative side, following the letter of the law and not trying to stretch the law.
The campaign money was used not just for Johnson's makeup. In a statement to the Sun-Times, his campaign spokesman says the expenses were for the mayor and individuals associated with the campaign.
So for those who donated to Brandon Johnson's campaign, did you give him your money so he can be fly and the people around him to be fly? That you wanted him and his people to have the best possible creams and lotions so they can look as good as possible? Let me know in the comments below if you contributed to Brandon Johnson's campaign, and are you happy with the amount of money he is spending on looking good?
For public appearances, events, media segments, and other availabilities.
He really thinks highly of himself, doesn't he? I mean, we're going to talk about Brandon Johnson's record as the mayor, but he does seem to really like himself, which is fine. I mean, you're supposed to be the face of the city. You know, a little weird to spend that much money on your face. And I don't see it. I don't get it.
We reached out to the mayor's office, who told us contact his campaign office. That spokesman did not return our calls.
Of course not. Of course not. We're going to talk about his record, but let's talk about this spending $30,000 on makeup in span of a year and some change by a public official. Obviously, some ethical and legal questions. What's going on in Illinois again? Like, what is going on there? But there's a lot of ethical and legal questions. Obviously, that's the first thing. Appropriateness, public perception, spending a large amount of taxpayer money on personal grooming seems to be inappropriate considering the city is facing financial challenges. Some people say financial crisis. People can argue that such expenditures do not align with the fiscal responsibility expected from public officials. But at this point, is it expected? Everyone finds the way to use other people's money as much as they can. Apparently, that's the American way, unfortunately. And then ethical considerations. Public funds should be used in ways that directly benefit the public. But I guess Brandon Johnson looking fly is something that we all really need, right? Expenditures on personal grooming items for the mayor do not typically meet that criteria unless your name is Brandon Johnson. But let's be honest, it don't seem like it's providing a clear public benefit. And we can talk about some legal considerations. The legality of the expenditure would depend on the policy and the regulations governing the use of public funds in Chicago. If the city's financial policies explicitly allow such expenditures as a part of their official duties, like a public appearances, I guess it might be legal. I'm not a lawyer, I'm just talking, just thinking out loud. It would be explicitly documented, justified. And the interesting thing is that Chicago, which is hilarious, has the strictest laws regarding the use of public funds. Again, it's hilarious, requiring transparency and accountability. Any expenditure must be justified and documented to ensure it adheres to legal standards. If the makeup expenses were not properly documented or justified, it could be deemed illegal. But let's be honest, is anything going to happen to Brandon Johnson? Probably not. There's probably more pressing issues about Brandon Johnson's record. It looks like he's not really doing really well as a mayor. Let's just go down some of the challenges that Brandon Johnson is dealing with in his job approval rating. So far, he's been pretty bad. Public safety and crime, not great. Robbery, motor vehicle thefts have surged.
The headline from the preliminary CPD numbers, murders are down, but the crime rate is stubbornly high. CPD says robberies were up 23%. Motor vehicle thefts up 35%.
A lot of people are arguing that Johnson needs to establish more effective crime control measures to reassure residents in various neighborhoods. Things are not going very well. Obviously, similar to New York, handling migrants. Johnson has been really bad at that too.
The estimated cost for caring for migrants this year, including providing shelter, health care, and transitioning them into their own housing, is estimated to be $321 million. But when the mayor was asked about the city committing to fund the remaining $71 million needed for migrant care, he repeatedly dodged the questions.
There are a lot of things to consider in this entire operation. It's not just financial resources.
If we could get an answer to whether $71 million will be committed by the city for this part of the mission, after the state and the county committed theirs. The mayor did not answer that question, instead pivoting to talk about the overall operation.
$70 million, and not counting the past millions of dollars that this city done approved of, or this state and the county, etc. $70 million. Y'all won't even put $1 million in one neighborhood.
Especially when you're a 43-year-old resident of the city of Chicago, versus being somebody who just got here, who being treated just like you should be treated, right?
When the city of Chicago has millions upon millions upon millions of dollars to give to people who ain't paid a dime into the tax base. Mayor Johnson, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We need the money for us. We need opioid treatment on the west side of Chicago. We are the headquarters of the cartel, and everybody in here knows it.
Y'all are implementing our demise here in the city through financing and budgeting.
He has struggled with the influx of migrants, leading to criticisms of inadequate planning and execution. His proposal to build a base camp for migrants was shut down due to environmental concerns, reflecting bad decisions by his administration to manage this crisis effectively. Then obviously, again, he's spending $30,000 on looking good. Chicago is grappling with a significant budget shortfall, partly due to the reduced real estate tax revenues and increased pension obligations. The city's economic challenges are even compounded by the departure of major businesses and residents, raising concerns about the fiscal health and long-term economic stability.
Chicago is in real danger of losing its status as the third largest city in the U.S. Census Bureau numbers released today show our population is dropping.
Texas and many other southern and western states throughout the United States are making those opportunities more available.
While Chicago and Illinois both losing population for the 8th year, if that's true, it could impact tax revenue and cost us another congressional seat.
But again, Brandon Johnson really just cares about looking fly. And also, Brandon Johnson has been criticized for handling media interactions, often providing evasive answers and limiting press variability. This has led perceptions of his lack of transparency and accountability within his administration. This sounds very familiar to someone else I've been talking about. Public opinion on Brandon Johnson's performance is largely negative. 57% of Chicagoans disapprove of handling key issues like crime, homelessness, and the migrant crisis, so he sucks. I guess that's all I have to say about that, right? Many residents feel that the city is heading in the wrong direction, highlighting the need for the administration to address these concerns more effectively. But again, as long as Brandon Johnson's looking fly, his makeup looking good, he's on, nails look fleek or whatever the kids say nowadays, I guess it's not that big a deal for him. But what you guys think about Brandon Johnson trying to look fly every day while the city is burning? Let me know, put in the comments below. Thank you for taking time to watch this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.